Hey guys, Joe here. Was in a porn addiction for about 17 years of my life. Tried to quit for about 9 of those years. Started in about 2016 with the whole nofap arc. Safe to say that definitely didn't work for me, as it doesn't work for many people. Tried that for about 4 years consistently before kind of going back into it here and there. And then the next 5 years approximately after that, I was in 2 other paid programs in order to try and stop my compulsive behavior with porn and stay stopped. And unfortunately, that did not work either. It didn't get me the result that I wanted to stop and stay stopped with porn. So this all changed in 2025 when I met Tom Molyneux and Mary Paulus, who taught me what is known as you can see on the screen, the Beyond Compulsion method from Beyond Compulsion Academy. This method is based on rewiring addicted neural pathways in order to stop your compulsive behavior with porn, aka porn addiction. And ever since then, I never looked back. It was the method that worked for me. I learned, along with around over 100 other guys now, how to stop your compulsive behavior, stay stopped, and feel good during the process of doing so. It's a completely different way of looking at the problem, as I was saying, rewiring addicted neural pathways, and how, most importantly, stopping and staying stopped is the result that we want, and this is what you achieve. And this is what BCA got me to achieve. So it's been well over a year since I've been in Beyond Compulsion Academy, so I'm an affiliate for them now. And so of course I've been a customer ever since I first joined. I continue to be a customer. And so for this video, what I thought it would be good to do is give an overview of Beyond Compulsion Academy as a customer, what to expect when you land in here, talk through how BCA helped me overcome compulsive behavior in general, not just with porn, and sort of what to expect when you come into this coaching service. What will I be working on? What will I be looking at? What will I be studying in order to overcome my compulsive behavior with porn, which I've been stuck in for years and years at this point. That's where I was mentally when I was looking for the solutions anyway. But yeah, chances are you've watched Tom's content and you've had a look at it and you thought, well, Tom has a completely different sort of take on the problem. And a lot of it I'm resonating with. And chances are, of course, I came through his YouTube to sign up to have a talk with him. Get onto that in a minute. But yeah, chances are you've been watching the YouTube channel and you found information to be kind of different. You've found it to be sort of a different feel to the typical advice in order to stop pornography and stay stopped, away from that nofap stuff and really hitting home very relatable stories, very relatable scenarios in a lot of aspects. Now, because I was at that point and I understand how important this problem is to have solved, because right now it's a full-time job being in that full-time state of addiction. You don't have the engaging part. You have also the sleeplessness, the restlessness, the missed deadlines, the performance at work, your situationship in your relationship, and the list goes on. For sure, for you, along with all the mental conflict that comes with a porn addiction, this problem is something for you to solve. Hence why you're most likely watching Tom's content and my content and whoever's involved in BCA right now, and you're trying to get a better view of what to expect if you were, let's say, interested in BCA. But this video is sort of go from the start, what happened when I joined, and then we'll go into a bit of like the community, the classroom, and what sort of BCA entails as a coaching service, as a product, as an information product, and why exactly and how exactly it got me to stop and stay stopped in a very sort of systematic and simple way. The word simple being, of course, subjective for anybody. So I'd like to use the word systemized and easy to follow. That will probably be a better way of putting it. Okay, so if you're new to Skool, Skool. It's a platform online where you can upload modules, schedule calendar bookings, and with a community. It's essentially a great tool for coaches to sort of use for their service. And this is what BCA use, this is what we use. So when I joined, Skool was around. The system was a bit different a year ago, so we'll get into that in a minute. But if you become a member of BCA, this is what you can expect to see, this Skool group, and we'll get into the bits of it here and there. So having a real quick rundown, I want to go over the page here. So yeah, online training from Mary Paulus, 35 years in the addiction recovery space. Great teacher, great mentor. She'll take care of you. All the questions or your concerns, ultimately, she passed me and Tom and everybody else that has learnt this method passed that knowledge down to us. And now this group is going to be sort of the best way to educate people on that knowledge. And so systemized way of getting guys straight off porn, getting guys knowing what to do, and really spending the time into understanding and developing this new skill of using a tool, embracing discomfort, which we'll get onto in a minute, and getting to that position of confidence that we all want to be in to lead to a life of permanent mental freedom, stopping pornography and staying stopped with it. Education on addicted part of the mind, which is the part of the mind I didn't even understand for years and years and years of going through the typical sort of education on addiction until I met Tom and Mary. Tools is an important one. We talk about 5-fact script on the channel. Tools are a very important core part of the system. Mastery of unanswerable questions. We all get those questions. We all get those sort of dialogue in our heads when we're in an addiction, when we're in the urge, when we're in those peak states of withdrawal. All sorts of thoughts, all sorts of questions, all sorts of feelings come up, and knowing how to sort of handle those. Again, something which you'll be fully educated on. 5-fact script, the tool we just covered. Private community and 5 group calls a week. I'll go over that, but just want you to know, expect plenty of touch time with the coaches when you're in this service, when you're in this group. And yeah, 35 hours of recorded coaching, which is the modules you can listen to, watch over and over and over again, just so you get the idea, just so the education is reinforced, revised in order for you to take this next step in your life. Right, nice. So we're all right, nice. So this is the classroom page, and so this is a lot of these modules, and you can see we've got phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, up to phase 6. Of course, this is a great thing to look at because you can tell that this is a structured, sequential, in order list of videos to watch. There's no second guessing of what to watch, why you're going to watch it, how the order comes into play. You just have phases 1 to 6 covering things in order, which is great, which is built for addicts, built for porn addicts. Now, just before I go into those, I think it will be best to go into this section. So just a bit of background. When I joined BCA, the package that I had was a bit different with Tom. So I had touch point calls with him. So I booked a number of sessions, which were one-on-ones, and like you can find my calls in the modules now. So you can watch the 7 odd sessions that I had with him, which is literally teaching the same information that if you join the program, you will learn yourself, and arguably in a more sort of systemized way now. Since Tom and Mary have collected a lot of data and a lot of touch points of what exactly people struggle on, what people sort of have problems understanding at first, clarifying it in a very efficient way. So if you're a new joiner, what would happen is you would join up and find an actual system that is more optimized for all of this. But yeah, you can watch me anyway. But yes, when I joined, there was Skool groups, and of course there was the modules. I watched Mary's videos, and now it's even better. It's even more revamped. I just had a different experience to when I joined, having one-on-one sessions with Tom. Good news is there's an even better system for getting educated, for actually having that contact time with your coach, and we're going to get into that. So just to go briefly over what happened, I was watching Tom's videos, probably like you are right now. I decided, well, this guy has a different take with it. And of course, I had sort of not done well on other paid programs, and of course, through the entire NoFap journey. So of course, I think everyone naturally has that large amount of skepticism, especially if they've been trying to quit and stay stopped on porn for years and years and years and have failed to sort of do so. Or a better way of putting it is they haven't found the right information or the best information to have and implement in their lives in order to stop. We come in with a lot of natural skepticism on the call, because at that point, the addicted part of the mind, which we mentioned earlier, will convince you that nothing actually works in order to stop this addiction. And that's by design. That is by design by the addicted part of the mind to make you feel that nothing is going to work at this point. But anyway, I got on a call with Tom, and my mindset was not really thinking, oh great, I'm going into a call where he's going to like try and sell me this thing and everything like that. The way I approached it was, listen, I'm going on a call. I'm just seeing if this product and this coaching service is going to be a good fit for me. I have all these questions about, my addiction. I have all these sort of doubts that I have, and I'm going to bring them to the call. I'm going to see what Tom thinks about them. And if he doesn't have any answers to my doubts and how to sort of get me past thinking in this way, then myself or pretty much anyone probably wouldn't be comfortable in sort of taking steps forward to actually attend that coaching service, to join that coaching service. And so I think that's a good, healthy way of approaching anything like this. But lo and behold, Tom had all the answers to my questions and even actually sort of surprised me in a lot of things and actually set off a lot of light bulbs. So if you're thinking of sort of signing up, definitely book in a call with Tom or myself, and we can go over doubts, things that you're worried about, things that you've been sort of facing when trying to stop this addiction and stop this behavior for good. It's safe to say that this method does have the answers. Be in the mindset of thinking, right, can Tom help me or not? Can Joe help me or not? We understand that at this point, there's a lot of doubt in an addict's mind, and that's totally expected and it totally makes sense. And like I said, the number one thing the addicted part of the mind wants is for you to engage in your addiction. So it's going to come up with all sorts of thoughts and feelings. I won't be able to stop. This ain't for me. I'm special because my addiction is just too strong. All of this stuff will come up, and we expect it. And there's reasons for that. Thankfully, I was educated on it, and I'm hoping that this information becomes more mainstream and we get more guys being able to stop and stay stopped with porn, especially. What followed that is the calls that you will see in this module in the classroom section. But enough of that, let's get on to sort of phase one. So when I joined the program, I'm literally talking about maybe the first 2-3 hours of paying the fee and getting into the group. Tom says a few things to me about what to expect when you join. First thing he let me know was, listen, you've had years and years of sort of this education that came from NoFap, years and years of education that come from other paid programs, which unfortunately with their methods default to a lot of willpower positions, which obviously we know willpower isn't efficient. But you've got all this programming from years and years and years of trying to figure this out. And so the main thing that Tom wanted me to understand at that very point of joining was you are not ready to stop. You don't know how to stop. You're not prepared to stop. You don't have the new mental software that requires to be installed in order to stop correctly, stop confidently, and stay stopped, because you know what to expect, you know what to do, you know how to handle these urges when they come up, and you know where they come from. And so right now, you don't know any of that, and you don't have the tools in place in order to stop. So until you learn the information within at least these, first three phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of the program, you don't want to be thinking, I have to, stay stopped, I have to perform, I have to do my best because I'm on this new course, this new program, this new coaching service. It's simply a case of, look, you need to learn the fundamentals first before you actually understand, before you actually get the idea of what you're trying to learn here. And this actually becomes one of the biggest strengths of this program because of the way that it's set up in terms of, if you don't understand it yet, you're not ready to stop. And when you understand it, you know that you understand it. You know that you know what's going on and you have the system and you actually understand why it's going to work. And when that click happens, you'll know that you're ready to stop. So this is a good thing. All right, so a real quick note. There is a link in the description which leads to learning the first 2 facts of the main tool in BCA, the 5-fact script. From here, you'll be able to get a taster of the tool by accessing a 30-minute video from Tom going over the first 2 facts of the script. This is one of the best videos to watch to kickstart your complete change in paradigm, and you'll be able to relate to Tom on so many issues as he explains the concepts, and will push you in the direction towards confidence, knowing that permanent freedom is possible. Second thing that Tom informed me of here was that this is your biggest problem in your life right now, which, when you think about it, as I was saying earlier, being in an addiction is a full-time job. It's not just engaging in the behavior which causes the shame and the second guessing yourself and the lack of self-integrity and self-trust. It's also all the impact that it has on the other areas of your life. Relationships, work, sleep, being a parent. All of these things get affected when you're in that state of full-time addiction, not being able to stop, not knowing how to stop. And it's a very sort of difficult position to be in anyone's life. Being in an addiction is a tough situation in itself. And so Tom made it clear here that you want to have the mindset when you're taking this course that this is the number one priority to solve, which it absolutely is, because it's blocking so many other mental aspects in your life that you may not even realize yet. Some of us have been in this addiction for so long, we don't actually understand what is possible on the other side of it, where life can take us if we just didn't have this section which is holding us back in our life. And so having that mindset going forward is something that was very important, that Tom made very clear to me in order to get the best out of the program. And the third thing is that when you're going through the modules, when you're attending the coaching sessions, when you're doing your reading and watching, when you're going over the coaching, like with anything that you're working on in life, when you're actively working on it, especially if it's a number one priority, is getting the reinforcement, the repetition, going back over the videos, going back over revising over concepts. And they're all sort of short sections. And it's because it's in a systemized sort of order, which we saw earlier, streamlined to understand. And it's great sort of listening to Tom and Mary talk about the addiction, and it's interesting. And honestly, this sort of education is tenfold worth any currency once you're on the other side and once you understand the information and you're living on the straight line day by day. Straight line being the state of just being stopped in an addiction, living in the present moment, living life, having that permanent mental freedom away from that addiction. And so having covered that, this is phase one. So when you're ready, you'll go into it and go through the modules. And phase one is the initial module, which covers two main things by courtesy of Mary. You'll see her in the videos explaining all this stuff, backed up by Tom in all the coaching sessions, in plenty of other videos, and even on YouTube they cover it, is the concepts of first, deprivation thinking. I'll link a good YouTube video to that, which Tom and Mary did recently on deprivation thinking. You'll get the gist of it. And then the dilemma. The dilemma is that you want to engage in your addiction, but you don't at the same time because of the consequences. And this sort of gets a real clear idea of where you're at in the mental positioning of things, and how years of NoFap, years of different methods may have sort of confused this, convoluted this process of thinking within the addiction when you're not engaging and when you're engaging, because when you have the addicted part of the mind active, when you're in an addiction, all sorts of feelings come up, all sorts of thoughts come up, and it's best to sort of have this foundational sense of awareness before you start going into the next steps, before we start building out the script, which we're about to get onto. But phase one is sort of a foundational mindset layer. It's very different to what you've seen out there before. You do not see this kind of information on the surface of the internet, shockingly. When I went through this module, it put a lot of light bulbs in my head, started planting the seeds of thinking about this problem differently. At the start, it was quite uncomfortable because it was so sort of different to what I learned. It's almost as if, like, when I was learning about deprivation and, you know, the dilemma of opposing forces, wanting to engage and not wanting to engage, I kind of understood it, but at the same time, I was trying to get my head around everything. I was thinking, how is this going to get me to stop watching porn? How is this going to sort of change my life? And already the addicted part of the mind was trying to convolute my thought process. So sitting still, sticking with the videos, learning the concepts, and then getting in touch with Tom and Mary. And this is what we'll get on to next. So when you're in BCA, what will happen as of this current system in 2026, summer 2026, we have a situation where we have 5 weekly calls every week. 1 on Monday, Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday. I'll explain the difference in a minute. And then 1 every Saturday as well. So once you've gone through phase one, once you've learned phase one and you kind of have a good idea of what it's about, and your mindset has changed and shifted towards the right direction, because this education is a shift in mindsets. It's a shift in paradigm to understand and operate on a completely different level, on a completely sort of different bird's eye view of the scenario of being in an addiction. And so if I finished phase one, I would go on the phase one coaching call, which is on every Monday. If you didn't get a concept, if you're a bit confused, if you didn't really understand the sort of maybe a section of the video, this is where you go. Mary will explain it to you. You bounce off all the questions you need to ask. And so at the end of that section, hopefully you'll be like, right, I get it. I totally understand. I'm ready to move on to the next section, phase two. And maybe you forget a few things. Maybe a week goes by and you forget a few things from phase one and you're like, I can't remember what happened. I can't remember phase one again. Let's go back onto the coaching call again, revise back up. So you see where I'm getting with this. We've got all bases covered with the system of touching in and asking questions about the particular phases. And again, everything will click once you've been through it enough times. And the click is the moment that you want. That moment when you understand that you've got the information and you're ready to proceed forward. You'll feel it. So for me, it was week 1, week 2, when I got the concept of phase 1. And I took my time with this information. I didn't try to rush it. I tried to, I was in the addiction. I was still engaging at this point when I was in the program, but I was learning and I got bits. And I started going forward bit by bit, taking my time, making sure I understood the sections of this course. So when I understood phase 1, went on to phase 2, and it is covering all the internal dialogue that happens when you're in an addiction, drive behind the desire players. So what sort of different parts of the mind are pulling you in different directions, which I was never aware of before doing BCA. This phase in the program made it make a lot of sense, and I could really relate to a lot of the stuff that Mary talks about within these 4 videos here. And again, they're in order for you to sequentially get each bit step by step and understand and slowly rewire the way you're thinking, rewire the way that you view the addiction in order to get into a stronger position mentally to then take on the next things you want to take on. And again, once you learn phase 2, you go back to the calendar, you join one of the Tuesday calls, make sure you're on top of all the information, make sure that you get it, things have clicked, and you've kind of resolved any unanswered questions that you had about the videos that you watched. Then it comes to phase 3, and phase 3 really is about you taking the next step in number 1, fully building up your script now that you've got all the information to build your own script, so your 5-fact script, which is the tool that you'll use in those moments of urges, in those moments of compulsive desire. And so this section is about finalizing all the details in that script, and then also understanding the concept of relapsing isn't part of recovery and how it's important to actually stop and stay stopped, and understanding the reality of relapsing if you ever chose to relapse in the future. This video goes over it and really dials in the reality of choosing to engage at any time in your addiction. So the goal here is to have you get to this point where you've got your script and you're confident in all the information to then stop and stay stopped. And from this point, this is where you would go to the next section of the calendar, which would be the Wednesday phase 3 calibration call. And so this is usually the spot where guys are ready to sort of say, right, I'm ready to stop. I've got all the information. I'm feeling confident. And then Tom and Mary are on these calls. And of course, Mary is on all of these calls, going through the checklist with each individual person. Do they get this? Do they get that? Have they got the concept of this? Do they understand this? And at that point, you'll know that you're ready. Mary will know that you're ready. Tom will know that you're ready. And you can proceed to choose to stop your compulsive behavior and stay stopped, because you have the mindset and you also have the tools to stop and stay stopped. Okay, so you're at the point where you've done phase 3, you've had the calibration call, you've built your 5-fact script, and you're ready to read through the script every time an urge comes up and deal with urges in the correct way with the right mental stance and understanding how to sort of go to the other side of the discomfort when putting your mind in a position to choose the right choice. Phase 4, phase 5, and phase 6. We start on phase 4, and these 3 modules are really about reinforcing the mental positioning, the mental stance, and the strength, and expecting everything that can come up when you're on the straight line, when you're going through dealing with urges, when you're dealing with discomfort that will inevitably come up when you're in that period of withdrawal, and at any time after that as well. And so these 4 sections are about correctly dealing with thoughts, correctly dealing with all these things that can come up in scenarios when you're feeling urges and you're there in a bit of turbulence, and you're feeling a little bit turbulent. But because you've gone through the education already and you realize that there's nothing to be afraid of, and you realize you understand what mental position you've got to be in, and you're in exactly what to do, you pull out your script, you read the script in those moments, put yourself in position of strength and power to choose rationally, to not engage in your addiction, to make the right choice and stay on the straight line, embrace the temporary discomfort that comes up. We're all good to go. And all these videos that you'll find in these 3 phases are about that. And of course, to go back to this one, this is a very important video which got released by Tom not too long ago now, and it goes over the number 1 cause of relapse. So this is one that you want to definitely get into. But everything, guys, you need here is covered. That reason being choosing not to read your script in those moments of compulsive desire. But don't get all worried about that now, because within the previous modules, in all the previous videos that are in phase 4 and phase 5, we go over why the reasons are that people may go into a position where they stop using their script. All you got to do is keep reading the script, right mental stance. And yes, I think it's very important to say here that when I was doing this, when I went my run through with BCA, stopping and staying stopped, the essential thing for me was to keep reinforcing the information with all these videos, keep revising these videos and modules after work when I had free time, in order to just keep on processing the information, in order to keep my memory fresh on the concepts. Because remember, when I was in that first stint, like those first 6 months of being in BCA, I understood that this was the number 1 priority in my life, which it is to overcome the addiction, to get out of this mental position that I was in for so long at this point. So I made sure I dug down and just reinforced the concepts in the video over and over again. Watch a video perhaps every night, rewatch videos regularly, consume Tom's content on YouTube, and just kept it going, kept revising. Of course, staying in touch with the tools and education, of course, reading the script over and over and over again, because the urges would come up. The urges are definitely going to come up when you're in the withdrawal phase of this process. It's about making sure you're connected to the script, staying in the loop, staying active in the group, staying active with the education, keep on reinforcing, keep on revising the videos and the information over and over again, because you can't get enough of this stuff. Because once you understand that this is a system where you can get out of this situation of being in this addiction, once you understand that using the system, because once you understand that when you actually have a good hold of the system and it causes the situation to become someone who stops watching porn and stop watching porn, it's a complete 180 in life. And it's so important to just keep on reinforcing, make sure you understand this information, take the time to understand it, intentionally reinforce it, proactively work on it, and the rest of your life will just take care of itself, because so much free time, so much mental clarity, so much feeling of self-integrity that comes from this, that it won't be something that you will not want to do. What I noticed in my time in BCA was that with this way of stopping and staying stopped, with this way of like stopping the behavior, and you have a Thursday call, and you have a Wednesday call and Saturday call, which straight liners can join. People who have stopped, people are in the state of being stopped and stay stopped, can join these straight line calls and share their experiences and gain the knowledge of others and really share everything that's going on in their lives with other people who are on the straight line. The process of stopping porn in BCA is an enjoyable one. It isn't like a grind set. Sure, there will be moments when like the withdrawal of porn is discomforting, and perhaps you will have like a sleepless night here and there because of the urges you're having for porn. Not that you have to worry about that, because you have the tools and the education to solve that, but sticking with it, you will enjoy the process. It isn't this grind of willpower and putting loads of boundaries everywhere and trying to install blockers and all of this stuff. It's something that you can deploy at any moment, at any time, and be sure of yourself that you can handle yourself in this situation. And you know the way towards making the right choice when you're feeling all that discomfort, when you're feeling an urge. One thing I really want to share about my experience as a new starter is that when I joined, I was in this sort of mental space when I was like, as what typically happens when I try and learn something new and perhaps join another course or a coaching service, is that, damn, I want to understand all of this very quickly. I want to understand all of this and make sure I get every little bit right. I want to make sure that I'm super sure very, very, very quickly. And I think this is very common with all the guys that sort of enter, because they understand the gravity of the situation. They understand the pain that they've been through because of this addiction. And that's quite a natural way to sort of dive in. And I certainly dived into that mindset a little bit, which is understandable. But I think the main thing here is to really sort of take a step back, relax, and understand that just go through the process of learning, understand the modules for what they are and what they say from a sense of calmness, and of course release the position where you are as calm as you can be when you're digesting all of this stuff, because you want to get it right. And it's easy to get right, But it takes time. It will still take time to understand these concepts and rewire and rethink how you see this problem. Because as I said before, years of NoFap, years of coaching in other places have sort of shifted your mind to look at this problem in a certain way. Stuff from NoFap, like counting days, talking about semen retention, or talking about self-improvement, gym, doing push-ups, meditation, all of that stuff has made us sort of think about the problem in a particular way. And when this new information comes along and you're being taught all these fundamentals of sort of how to think through all this stuff and a new way of looking at the problem, there's going to be a little bit of resistance. There's going to be some sort of friction of learning, and that's expected, and that's something to embrace. But don't feel that you need to rush through it. Take your time, and it can be easy to sort of step ahead and go over yourself and really think, damn, I need to get all this information in really quickly because I'm, paying for this and all this stuff. But just take your time learning. This is the most healthy way to do it, because you want a steady stopping speed, and then you're stopped when you're comfortable. And from there out, you're able to deal with the situation because you've been educated. You know what to do. Been on Skool before. You have a community, a Skool community where you can share posts. I'm going to blur out a load of names here. I probably already have. But yeah, this is a place where you can share all your thoughts on the method. How's your wins going? How's your week going? What did you notice come up? Share, because the more you share, the more data's out there and the more we all learn off each other. Knowing that you can get over shame and get over this feeling that there's something wrong with you, and all this accumulation of thoughts that you've had over these years of beating yourself up because you've been stuck in this addiction. This group is where it all ends, because you're able to actually think about the problem in a more accurate way. I think another thing I want to mention here is that a lot of the time when you get on a call with Tom, especially that first call that I got on with him, I was in that position where I was feeling a lot of shame, because I come to him years and years and years of being in the addiction, years and years of years trying to stop, but failing over and over and over again. And of course, like I was saying at the start, you're in that mindset of thinking, oh, well, is this going to work? And obviously that's expected because you've been in this addiction for so long. A lot of stuff didn't work. And so it makes sense why you're thinking that way. I want to cover the shame aspect of it, because ultimately, as this program is going to make you realize, listen, you never chose to be in this position when you were a kid, when you were super young, to watch porn and become addicted to it. You didn't even think, right, I know I'm going to get addicted to it, so I'm going to do it. You didn't know any better at the time. But unfortunately, as society's become more sexualized, and there's all these things that have come here and there, and perhaps there were contributing factors to that in your childhood, you're in a position where you chose to use pornography, it became compulsive, and you didn't sign up for any of this. And trying to search for this answer was, or at least has been, something very difficult to sort of ascertain. And so this group, I found my answer in this group. I found my answer in this service. Tom and Mary have looked after me. And of course, like I said at the start, I'm now an affiliate for them to get all this information out there and just to get guys on the right sort of simple path of stopping and staying stopped. And if this worked for me, it will definitely work for you guys. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you guys been watching for a while now, there's a 15-minute WhatsApp link call in the description. Bring your doubts and concerns, and hopefully I can answer them, and we can see if what you've seen today in this video is the right fit for you. Click on the link in the description to take you to the addiction quiz. From the results, you'll know whether you have a compulsive behavior with porn or not. You don't have to opt in for further interest in BCA, and we'll just send you over the test results to your email.